Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Gettin Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. I'm glad you're joining us live here tonight. If you're watching this sometime in the future, that's really cool too, and we'd like to welcome you along with us tonight. What Getting Sketchy is where either me or Ashley, we try to create a drawing for you inside of 45 minutes. That's right, 45 minutes. We have a timer and everything, and we don't really know what's gonna happen. Sometimes crazy things happen here. I think I pushed all the buttons right to get things started tonight. But hello to everyone from all over the planet. We're glad to have you. Like I said, we'll say hello to some people in just a few minutes. And give a shout out where you are. But first, let's say hello to Ashley, who's sitting right over there. Ashley, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you for asking, and I hope you folks are doing well also. Yeah, Matt, it looks like we've got folks from all over the states and the UK and even New Jersey, which is also in the States. So I'm looking forward to the drawing that Matt's going to make for you guys tonight. He's chosen a very vibrant image, really different from in terms of the elements of art that he'll be focusing on with regard to what I used last week. So pretty good variety here at the beginning of the season. And what is this, season 12, Matt?
Season 12.
Season 12. So super excited for season 12. Let's see. Let's go ahead and see what Matt has prepared for us.
Yeah, we're in season 12. This is episode 2. And like before we go into it, a couple things I have to say all the time.
Oh, yes.
First of all, if you like this kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the like button if you like it, and leave a comment too. If you're watching this live, of course, all your comments are going in the chat box, but if you're watching the recorded version, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about the drawing, or give us some tips. We're good with tips as well. And speaking of tips, you need to check out the membership program at thevirtualinstructor.com, or you just need to go to thevirtualinstructor.com. There are tons of lessons. In fact, I added them all up today, and there are now over 2,000 art instruction videos on the website. What you see here on YouTube is just a little bit of what you have at your disposal over at thevirtualinstructor.com. But the membership program specifically includes all of our courses. All of the courses are included, which include step-by-step ebooks as well as videos. We do weekly live lessons. Right after this broadcast here on YouTube, I'll be continuing with a live lesson series on drawing a landscape with graphite. Right now we're working on a very detailed tree. There's also weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute, and there's a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. So if you are an art teacher, we have all of the resources you need to teach for an entire year. All of that is included in the membership program. If you want to learn more about the membership program, there's a link in the description below. You can check it out for free for 7 days. And then beyond that, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and the price is really, really low too. So I would encourage you to check that out. And also, if you're not on our mailing list, you can get on our mailing list and also check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free. There's a link in the description below for that as well. All right, I think we're ready to start drawing. But first, if you have a comment or question that's directly directed at Ashley or I tonight, we ask that you use the super chat function in the chat box. That will help the channel out a little bit, and it will also feature your comment or question, and it will help us see it a little bit easier amongst all the other comments and questions, because they get going pretty fast here on YouTube, and it looks like we have a pretty big active crowd
Fantastic.
Tonight. So let's go ahead and switch over, and hopefully my camera is still alive right now. I forgot to charge a battery.
A little sketchy over here tonight.
It is always sketchy. There is never a moment when things aren't a little sketch. Just right on the borderline of disaster.
Right, there's no reason to prepare, Matt.
Yeah.
Whatever we prepare for is not what's.
Well, see, the thing is I do prepare, and I do too much to prepare and forget to do things. So I was preparing my paper and everything earlier today, and I had the overhead camera turned on to set everything up, and then I turned off all the power and left the camera open, so the battery died. So we're on 7% right now, but don't worry, when I turn the lights on, it'll get charged back on. So let's do that now.
Let's get those lights on.
Here, we got to do it quick. Let's go ahead and switch over. And of course, I goofed that up too. I pushed the wrong button, and then I almost shorted out the lights.
I knew something was
the
going on
lights
over there.
flashed.
It was a little delay.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" Anyway,
well, there's that.
here we
lovely
are. We
image.
made it to the paper, and the photo references were right over there. But if you want to have the photo reference on your own and you want to take your time with your drawing, we assume that people are going to draw alongside of us. If you want to create your own drawing, there is a photo reference available for you. All you have to do is click on my face, which should be down in that corner somewhere. That will take you to the YouTube channel. While you're there, make sure you subscribe, but also click on the community tab, and there you will find this photo reference there for you, so that you
click
can
on your face, then click on community tab.
Right. Essentially, you're going to the YouTube channel, or the virtualinstructor.com's YouTube channel, and then you're going to the community tab. But it's just easier to say, click on my face.
Yeah.
Because some people don't know how to get to the channel. They think you're on the channel.
We're all
right
visually oriented people, I think, in here. So that makes good sense to me and probably everybody else out there.
Anyway, the reference is there for you. I have edited this photo just a little bit. Excuse me. I bumped up the colors, bumped up the contrast, made this image a little bit more vibrant since we're going to be working with pastels. And these little tints in the foreground, we are not going to include them in the composition.
Okay.
I could have used rubber stamp tool and taken them out, but I think that they're a distraction, and the one on the bottom goes off the bottom of the picture plane, and that makes it weighty at the bottom.
Okay.
Too weighty.
So the cabanas are out.
At the bottom. Yeah. And while I'm talking to you, I am remembering something else I forgot to do before we went live. So I'm going to do that real quick. So we're going to make sure everything's set up.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it I'm going to try to make this work with what I'm going to do next. So we're going to talk about the materials next. Okay. I am going to be using Rembrandt pastels, and I have already taken the pastel colors that I've chosen.
Just by looking at the reference.
Just by looking at the reference. I just threw a bunch of colors in here literally before we went live.
Right.
Sometimes I'll do a little practice sketch. I know Ashley does too. This time I have not done a practice sketch. So there's a lot of concern.
Be very fresh.
There's a lot of concern. But these are my Rembrandt pastels. I also have just a few pastel pencils here. I've got a red, which this red, there it is. There's not much red left.
Oh, wow.
See that? And I've got it in a pencil extender there. And I've got a gray, a brown, and a darker brown, and then white. And we'll be using the pastel pencils only on some of the details on the Lighthouse.
Okay.
At least that's the plan. The paper that I'm working on, this is PastelMat paper, and the surface is a very light gray. It may look white, but this board at one time was white. It's not white anymore.
I can still see the contrast
You
there.
can see the contrast there, yeah. Okay, so while I'm here, I'm going to take the opportunity to turn on the timer. This is not the real timer. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the main camera, and you'll see the timer is missing. So now when I turn on the timer, it'll be there on the other camera angles. That's what I forgot to do.
Gotcha.
All right, so we have any questions about the materials? Before
Let's see. Not really. Orion Nebula mentioned that she likes that tray, and I think she's talking about the back of your canvas.
Yeah, this is
tray is the
literally a
canvas.
canvas, and it has a painting on the other side. I am not going to turn it over because all of the pastels will come out.
It has a previous lesson on the other side.
It does. The lessons from the Acrylic Painting Academy.
That's
And
great.
it's actually the canvas.
So you may have a tray laying around you.
So I didn't really
No,
like
it's a
that
tray.
painting. I really didn't like that.
It's
that
perfect
painting.
depth for holding pastels.
Yeah. Just get you
I do
8 by
have a
10
question
canvas.
about the paper. You may have mentioned it, and if you did, I missed it. What are the dimensions of the drawing area?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I did not mention
All
that.
right.
The paper measures 6 inches by 8 inches. Another reason why I'm a little bit scared.
That's pretty good size for 45 minutes.
That's a good size.
Yeah.
There is a lot more complexity in this image that looks on the surface. So I'm a little skittish.
I like how wispy foliage leans towards the lighthouse over on the left.
Well, yeah, and the clouds also
Yeah.
are going at an angle. So I'm going to try to get a lot of rhythm
Okay.
and motion in this piece by
It's there to be had.
repetition at the bottom, directional marks at the top, keep the lighthouse in the right third, and hopefully we'll have a nice little composition here. So, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch out the horizon line and the basic structure of the lighthouse with a dark gray pastel pencil. Now you can use anything that you want. I know your first tendency might be to think to grab a graphite pencil and do that, but I would suggest using a pastel pencil or just a pastel. Because when you start layering the pastels over the top, the graphite might still show through.
This will mix right in or be covered.
This will be covered or mixed. It'll be mixed in / covered.
Have you reset the timer?
I have not started the timer
Okay.
yet because I have not made a mark yet.
Because I can't see it. I just want to make sure.
It's still hidden. All right. Are we ready to go?
I'm ready if you are. If
okay,
everybody else is ready out there.
I'm going to
let's
set
do
the
it.
timer.
Okay.
And here we go. 45 minutes on the clock. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at where the brush comes up the dunes and how far over it comes.
It's
Probably
just a
about
touch,
right
touch
in this
lower than
area.
halfway.
And then we'll let them come down right about here. And now I'm going to try to find the lighthouse and just the basic shape. I'm going real quick here. So this is that little break in the sand dune right here.
Okay.
And then we're going to bring this up, and I want to find the top of the lighthouse, maybe right in here.
So you're using the edges of the picture plane? You have
I
the
am.
same proportions to your paper to the reference.
Right. And the lighthouse doesn't take up as much space as it seems.
Yeah,
on
the
here.
space to the right of the lighthouse is empty space is wider than the lighthouse is wide. So that's a good checkpoint. It's negative or empty spaces. Still
and
measure them.
and like I always say, it doesn't have to be perfect, especially in a 45-minute sketch here. This is the railing here, and a lot of this is going to be covered up anyway. In fact, most of it is, and you can see I have gotten too tall with one section, I think. So we're going to extend this up a little bit higher. Just a slight bit higher.
It's an interesting apparatus on top of the lighthouse.
It is. It looks a little bit like a wind.
Yeah, there was some speculation in the chat as to some sort of a weather data collection device of some sort, maybe.
Who knows?
I can't name a weather data collection
knows?
device.
We are experts
A thermometer.
on none of the things that we draw. That is for sure. We make up stuff all the time, and we'll be making up stuff tonight about lighthouses.
Dale, this is a 6x8. 6x8. So you're very close.
All right. We've got somewhat of an idea of where the lighthouse is. And there are some proportion issues, but that's okay. We're going to carry on.
Yeah, and you can work some, when you start filling in and laying down your first layers of pastel, you can make changes to your contours and your proportions then also.
That is true.
A second pass, a second opportunity.
That's true. But now I'm going to switch over to pastel, and I'm going to start with the sky. I'm going to start with a darker blue than what I need here.
It looks like
And
an
we're gonna
ultramarine
bring it
blue.
Yeah, it's pretty much ultramarine. I'm going to bring this down where the clouds are going to overlap. And we're going to mix this color too. So I'm just going to cover up that little vein up there at the top, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring that down just a substantial amount of room here. We might change the sky a little bit. We're going to go ahead and let it overlap. I know I'm not supposed to blow.
There was a question earlier about
Care.
your vacuum and the
Yeah.
brand of your handheld pastel vacuum.
Um,
Do you remember the brand of? I don't see it over there on your.
I wrote our mud on it.
That's right. That's right.
Because I used it as a ready mix.
That's right. It's not a vacuum. It's a piece of art.
Right.
It used to be a vacuum.
It once was a vacuum, but I have given it new life by determining that it's actually a piece of art.
Matt recognized its beauty and shared it with the rest of us. Thanks for that.
Okay, so this is a lighter blue over the top.
More of a cerulean blue now.
More of a cerulean blue. Just getting it in the tooth there.
Yeah, if you could have just started with cerulean blue, but you've given your sky a little bit of variety by having that other blue in there.
A little bit more depth there. And we'll
like
go ahead
that.
and mix that in. And we're going to let our blue be a little bit more cerulean. Maybe. Let's see here. I don't want to spend too much time up here, but maybe a little bit of lighter blue on top. Yeah, I like that. I think I like that.
I do too. Yeah, when you look at this image, you think, oh, it's just a lighthouse. They're pretty simple, but the ground plane and the sky, there is a lot of variety up there, a lot of texture, quite a bit happening in this image.
We're going to go with a much lighter blue down here at the bottom. And there's just a little piece of it showing, but I'm going to let a little bit more of it show in my pastel image. All right. Let's go with a creamy color next. This is really more like a cream. And I'm just going to start the lighter areas in the clouds. I'm going to start putting this color down, and we're going to go all the way up to the edge of the lighthouse and overlap it just a little bit.
All right, so Matt is working on gray paper. It's
very light,
pretty
gray.
neutral, but his color selections in his sky are warmer than the reference. You know, using the beige or kind of that. It's kind of a warm. Yeah, I think beige is good. We'll stick with that. Using beige in place of white, and then with that warmer blue that was underneath the cerulean initially, it's added a little bit of extra warmth to the sky as well. So Matt is working with the same values that we see in the reference, but he's adjusted the color temperature. We'll see how that plays out overall in the composition. It may add a little bit of extra harmony to the piece since the sky is warmer, and then the lighthouse and the foliage has a lot of warm colors in them as well.
All right, a little bit of purple sky, up, a little bit of a purple cloud up here. So very light purple here. And that might not be dark enough. Need a little bit of a darker gray here. Let's go a little darker initially. We're going to add some color to this, but kind of see there's this little stripe of darker value. Kind of comes right up to there. And
kind of our leading lines made by the clouds.
You can see how just rough I'm being with the marks here. You have that freedom at this point in the execution of materials on the surface, especially when you're trying to go super fast like this. Again, take your time with your drawing. You don't have a timer up there like I do.
This is how you would work, you know, if you were working right in front of this lighthouse. If you were set up there on the beach, you would work in the same way.
All right, we're going to add a little bit more color to these grays. So purple too strong. Well, we need a little bit of purple and a little bit of blue. So get a little bit of purple in there first. And I know there's not a lot of purple in these clouds, but I'm adding it.
You put that purple in there. I think everybody is used to you injecting purple into your compositions by now.
They know the purple's coming. Mm-hmm. Let's see if that's about right. There we go. Just trying to get some depth in the color of the clouds here. Then we'll bump up the contrast.
Sometimes you pull a pastel or a color pencil out that's it just seems perfect. It's just the right color. But it's always best when, I feel like it's always best when we can find a reason to mix our colors, and it just makes the colors that you end up with in your composition truly yours. They're your own mixtures, not right off the stick or right out of the pencil. So it's great to have huge sets, and Matt certainly does. But by selecting some colors in the beginning, he still limited himself, and that encourages more mixing.
This is a dark gray here. Just kind of give a hint of a cloud up here. And then we'll go ahead and do a quick blend on the rest of the stuff here.
You really got to work on the edges of those wispy clouds.
Soften things up a little bit. All right, I'm going to continue to pull just a little bit of this cloud up here. Soften.
Just painting with what's already on there.
But I really want to have that kind of diagonal feel in the sky.
You
is
do?
a little different than what our reference is telling us. All right, that's a good base layer. Back now, add a little bit more. We'll start back with the cream color here. I'm gonna get a little bit more definition.
So you softened all those edges. Now you're looking for places where maybe they need to be sharpened back up.
Yeah, just
mark making.
Just giving it a little bit more definition.
I like that. Kind of back and forth nature of your pastel process.
And this is still that cream color.
He's pulling a cloud out of the cloud.
We're gonna use white up here, but right now we're still sticking with the cream.
Sonia says the sky looks like her favorite color, periwinkle. It's kind of that ultramarine blue that went down first. It's arguably has a little purple in it. There's a little touch of red in ultramarine. So yeah, I think that's contributing to that. Looks like periwinkle to me too. Mary Elizabeth is letting you know that you only have 30 minutes left for all the other parts of the drawing. She's worried.
Well, thanks. No pressure there.
I'm not worried.
I'm worried.
Because I'm not drawing.
I'm worried. I told y'all
I was pretty worried last week. I had a lot of stuff in my image too.
All right, let's get a little bit more blue in there.
Nice and soft. Transition.
And a little bit of Blue down here.
Yeah, I mean, this image that you've selected, you could spend 45 minutes on just the sky.
Oh yeah.
45 minutes on just the brush, you know,
Really
because of all that
should.
texture, right? So, you guys are right. You know, we have to, because it's like Matt's racing against the sun, you know, like you would if you were on location. If you have any sort of time, maybe you just have to go out to dinner, so you have some sort of a time constraint. So you work with what you have. Sometimes we're talking about materials, but sometimes we're just talking about time. And so, I guess it's good to you can look at an image like this or your subject that's in front of you and kind of break it down into parts. And I do that sometimes. I'll think, all right, I have 45 minutes. I can spend 10 minutes on the contour drawing, and then 5 minutes to refine the proportions, and then that still leaves me 30 minutes to, you know, add the color or whatever. And I'll kind of give myself little checkpoints in hopes that I match my goal at the end of the 45-minute drawing session.
I haven't thought about any of that stuff.
So you're using white now?
No, this is actually a very, very light yellow.
How about that? Well, it looks good up there.
But because of the contrast,
It's really adding
it
more
looks
contrast.
a lot lighter.
And it's lighter than your initial gray paper. So I guess
Yeah. And
that's why I thought it's white.
Definitely lighter than the cream that I used here. All right, now a little bit of white, just a touch here and there.
Just where they're the brightest.
And you know, this dark cloud up there, it's too dark. Really feels a little out of place there. Just let a little bit of it come in. All right, let's move on to the lighthouse for now. We'll probably come back to that area, the sky. Let's start with a cream color and this top part here. Just going to put in the shape first. There. And
so Matt started with outlines or lines, and now he's thinking about just the shape, which is our next element of art. And then we'll take those flat two-dimensional shapes, or he will, and turn them into forms with a little bit more variety in value. So we're just picking our way right through the elements of art in this piece.
that is the plan. All right, let's go to a red next. Let's see, this is kind of a cooler red, but we'll start with this. And we'll add some warmth to it.
You could keep the shadows cool on that red segment.
Well, the red itself is not really a darker value.
Mm-hmm. Color reads pretty good. It's not as cool as I thought it was.
It's cooler than the color that the other red I'm gonna add.
Okay.
And you'll see that in just a minute.
So this lighthouse is just a little bit above our eye level, and that's why those curved segments curve slightly upward. So it's pretty subtle. You want to pay attention to that in your own drawing, so it feels like we're below the lighthouse. We're about eye level with the top of the front cabana. Its stripes are pretty level. near the top.
All right, let's go ahead and add a little bit of variety. We'll start with the warmer red here. Use it on the side that faces the light source, which is on the left side of the picture plane.
Yeah, this one has a nice clear light source. Very high key image.
Let's go.
Even the shadowed areas are kind of colorful.
Darker gray underneath here. We'll just pull that down all the way over the cream there. And up the side of.
See how well
cream
these soft
section
pastels
there.
can cover themselves if you want them to.
We are thinking in terms of shapes here of color and value. So we want to give an impression of the lighthouse here, not get too wrapped up in all the details. I say that while I'm adding details.
You know,
there.
well-placed, small, well-placed marks sometimes can feel like details, feel like more of a detail than the effort that you put into them sometimes. Well-placed little marks. So this lighthouse it's got like little flat planes, vertical planes all the way around it. So you can see a few of those little corners, particularly near the middle.
Let's go ahead and get an idea of where this.
So it's round-ish.
Window is.
At least in its bottom half.
And there's another window right there. And another
little
one
details.
right here-ish. And one right here-ish. All right. Now we're going to use our very light yellow here and make the highlighted side a little bit lighter.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out how little white matte is used so far. You know, you look at this picture and you say, okay, well, there's the sky is blue and white, and the lighthouse is red and white, and this image already communicates where the light's coming from. We have a sense of light. We've got a nice harmony between the colors, and it's colorful. It's actually extra colorful because of how little white Matt has used. So this is another great example of trying to work away from using the neutrals or overly using the neutrals like black and white. Give our artwork some vibrance by default, just by what we choose not to use.
All right, I have indeed grabbed a pastel pencil here.
Yeah. Is that your dark brown?
This is a dark brown. And just some of these little shadows and things. I'm going to add just a little bit more definition on the different tiers and things. And let's add a little bit of a shadow underneath this.
That gave it a little bit of definition up there.
Whatever that is.
I'll bet it spins.
I bet you're right. There are these. Our little window has a little bit of a shadow underneath it.
Now, you're working from top down. Did you make that choice sort of subconsciously because you're right-handed? Just sort of as a habit.
Now I'm working top down because the
Background to foreground. Is that what
Yeah,
you're doing?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're overlapping.
I got you. So
Yeah,
the sky's the furthest thing away, and he worked sort of into that lighthouse a little bit, so that when he added the lighthouse, there wouldn't be a gap, raw paper between the background and the lighthouse. And then I guess you can drag a little bit of that lighthouse, and it looks like you already are, down below where the shrubbery I guess that's
Shrubbery?
It's not shrubbery. It's
There's grass in the
they're
dunes.
plants. It's plants. Yeah, those plants are going to overlap a little bit of the bottom of the lighthouse, so that again, the overlapping shows space, one or more complicated elements of art, and then also again there won't be little gaps where one thing, in this case plants,
I don't like that.
meet up against or next to the lighthouse. So that way, again, pastel works a little bit like paint, where you can go right over it with another color.
I'm getting mighty obsessed with that edge, and I shouldn't be.
Well, you've got to work that the two sides of the lighthouse are really important because they're so structural in an otherwise natural landscape, and then it's kind of a symmetric object. And anytime you've got something that needs to be symmetric, it's that extra bit of time to make that happen is time well spent.
All right, I'm making the executive decision to leave out this little ledge up here.
The small one.
The small little ledge.
Okay, that is not a part that I would recognize as characteristic of all lighthouses. So I think you can do that, and no one will notice, unless they know this lighthouse.
Oh, I'm sure people know this lighthouse.
Yeah, I've always been impressed at how you've drawn lighthouses a few times. At least recently, you did one last season, and I think people figured out where that one was.
Yeah, I like lighthouses.
Yeah.
Last season, I did one in charcoal.
So if you know where this lighthouse is in the world, let us know in the chat.
Okay, I'm giving some faint details up here with the brown of the railing, and I'm going to go back with the white.
It looks like you're not applying much pressure. It's even like a little bit broken.
Very faint, yeah. Broken, faint, all that stuff.
Broken line looks lighter than a solid line.
All right, now let's do this a little bit, some faint marks with the red pastel pencil. And how much time do we have? 18 minutes.
Yeah, you're doing well. You got 18
There's
minutes.
plenty of time.
Yeah.
All right, and I've been going on, and I forgot we got another camera angle.
Oh,
And
yeah.
with the timer, we got more than one camera angle,
looks great.
actually. So
I like
we'll
that.
enjoy this camera angle for a second,
Okay.
and then we'll go back, adding more non-important details up here. And this needs to curve around and go back there.
This is the art teacher view, hovering over people's shoulders and watching them draw. Love that.
It's definitely over my shoulder. And we've got this view too. Although that one doesn't look as good right now because
There we go. It's sharpened.
It's got to come in focus.
Yeah, it did it.
There we go. All right, let's go to the white pencil now, and I'm just gonna put a few more indications of the railing up here, just kind of loosely and quickly, with just some loose lines.
Okay.
We don't need to go crazy with it.
Yeah.
And I'm
I'll
going
just pick them out a
to
little bit.
put a little bit more of a highlight here, a little bit more of a highlight here. And
you're just doing that because it feels right, not because it's so apparent in the reference.
Right. I'm just in the reference, the color is, or the value's almost the same.
Right. It's pretty
around.
narrow in there. Yeah.
So I'm bumping it up a little bit. Let's make this just a little bit more of a shadow. Okay. Is our lighthouse feeling three-dimensional? I think it's definitely starting to there. Another thing to point out is I'm not using black. None of these colors are black. Uh, did I
All right,
just-
Nebula says it looks like a lighthouse on the clouds right now. This would be such a cool picture if you turned the bottom half into billowy clouds.
I do need a darker tone underneath here. So I'm gonna,
I like that.
if you use the what?
Be very
the what now?
surreal. If you turn the bottom half of the picture into big billowy, like cumulus clouds instead of a beach,
Oh, so it looked like it was up in
like
the
a
clouds. The whole
lighthouse
thing was
on the
in-
clouds. Yeah.
That would be cool. That is a good idea.
Change of plan.
And I'm not prepared to do that.
We should do that. I'm gonna
just not.
We should do one
just
where we
not
take
prepared.
two references and combine them. Well, we've done that a couple times.
I've done that for a while.
We could do it again.
We've done that for live lesson and also for Gettin Sketchy.
Yeah, I did a
For the,
surreal drawing of my phone. Remember?
Yeah, I did the
seasons
mashup
ago?
drawing.
Yeah, that's right. That's always a fun creativity exercise, is to mash up two images or more. I mean, that's pretty standard way illustrators work all the time anyway. Multiple references come together, make a new expression.
Make that red a little stronger. And some of the pastel pencil got in here and it's like hard to cover back up. So you see that little dark area underneath there? That is from the pastel pencil being harder.
The gray one that you started
and that
with?
spot up there is actually my DNA. That's saliva.
That's because he can't find his pastel vacuum.
I don't have time. I've got 14 minutes to make sand dunes appear. All right, I'm going to start here with
We've got 14 minutes to
yellow
see if
ochre.
that dark spot dries in the.
it
in the
probably will. And I'm just going to bring this yellow ochre down. I'm starting with a darker version of the color because I can add lighter over the top.
Yeah, there's some yellow or white
And
in there.
that will add some interest to this sandy area down here.
Margaret remembers a lizard man named Clive. That
Yep.
was a
That was a
two-image
composite
mashup.
image.
Yep, that one was fun. A very dapper iguana in a nice suit.
Did we name him Claude?
Clive.
Was it Clive or
Yeah, I think it was Clive.
Clive?
So in the live lessons, the live lessons go anywhere from usually about 7 to 10 weeks, and a lot of times there's characters in there. Sometimes there are animals. Matt does a lot of wildlife imagery, and I've done a little bit of that. And a lot of times the folks in the chat name them, and it becomes an easy way for us to reference the drawings that we're talking about. Like if anybody out there attends the live lessons regularly, and I were to mention the little girl in the tree, you'd know exactly what picture I'm talking about. So,
Although I never saw the little girl.
Matt drew a pastel drawing that has a little girl hidden in front of a tree, and everybody can see it but him.
There's no girl in the tree. It legit is like trees, okay? All right, I'm putting a little bit of a dark gray in for some shadowed areas. Now let's go with a lighter. This is really more like the sand color. But now that we've got some colors in place, we got a little bit of,
Now there's a little
I would really like to have some blue in the shadow.
There is a cabana that's in the way of seeing, but it looks like that opening creates a little zigzag pathway down through the dune shrubs.
Yeah.
Are you going to do that? Are you going to put a little pathway in there? Because I know you're going to manufacture some of that.
Oh, I'm manufacturing all of it.
Yeah.
That blue work in the shadow.
So Marina asks, when are the live lessons? That's a great question. The live lessons are at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's about 30 minutes after this show concludes every Wednesday. And of course, the live lessons are for members, but if you're not a member, you can become a member you can sign up for a 7-day trial to check out a live lesson and see how it's like this. It's like Gettin Sketchy, but it's a much smaller group, and we go much slower, of course, and make completed artworks that are. We even sometimes do a little homework between Wednesdays to make sure that that we can complete the artworks to our liking and still get them done in a reasonable number of weeks.
Yeah, it's not rushed.
Right, not
rushed. This is rushed.
So there's a whole different Matt and Ashley over there at the live lesson some nights.
No, it's still us.
We're just not complaining about the timer.
we just have a lot more freedom.
Yeah. And we can try something, and if it doesn't work, we've got time to work it out, to talk about it and to work it out.
All right, I gotta somehow make all these sand dunes appear here. And they all got to be wisping away over to the
That's
right.
That's where a lot of our rhythm is locked up in this piece.
I
I
could really work on these sand
The
dunes.
live lesson is through the website, not through YouTube.
Yeah, you have to be on the website, and you have to be logged in to access the live streams. But all the live streams are recorded, and so if you can't be there for a live lesson, you can watch the recorded version. And the recorded, I've been doing live lessons since 2012.
And they're all there.
They're all there. I've removed a couple of series, actually.
Okay. Mostly all there.
Just really old ones that I
So sometimes folks might miss a Wednesday, and they're working along with us because they don't feel good, or they've got a birthday party to go to, all kinds of life things, right? So you can just always watch between Wednesdays so that you're not behind if you catch us live the next time.
All right, we're going to start with a dark green. I'm just going to use the side of the pastel and pull upward right along this edge here. A little smaller.
Yeah. Really see the texture of the paper as you lift your pressure off at the top of those strokes.
And this dark green is really just a base. To kind of create some of the darker shadows.
Right. Getting those little tiny dark shadows in later would be very challenging to do. So I like Matt's approach here. If he's going to, he's planning to work in layers, kind of working from darker to lighter.
Eight minutes.
Yeah, I think you're doing well.
There's no way. There's no way. This little path up there.
Just take those colors you've got picked out for the shrubbery and lay them down and just roll them around on the bottom of the paper for a couple minutes.
Just roll them around.
See where the marks land. So
that's essentially what I'm doing.
Yeah, I went to an art talk one time in college. So they can be hit or miss. We have visiting artists come around, and I think this was in college. It might have been afterward. I might have two memories mixed together. In any case, there were these artists who had come together to work on art problems, and one of their problems they were working on was sort of the randomness, things that happen, I guess, in our artwork that are not intentional, but work out really well. And so I guess they decided just to go with the randomness and not really have any plan. And so what they were doing was laying out large sheets of paper and then taking river rocks and just rolling them around, just rolling them out there on the paper. And wherever they stopped rolling, they would trace around them. And that was their art. It was totally random, no planning whatsoever. It just rolled rocks out on paper, Matt, and traced around them.
And me and you went to college.
That's why I went to college.
What were we thinking?
Well, I know.
We could have just found some
What
rocks
was I
and
doing?
rolled them around and given art talks at college.
At college is right. We got paid to be there if we'd have just rolled rocks around on paper instead of the other way around.
All right, so this is a dark brown here. Again, just kind of getting some of the darker values in place. And then hopefully I'll have time to put all these wonderful light yellow greens that I want to put over the top here on here. I'll make time. I'll change the rules.
He's got a dial on the timer. He can slow down the seconds.
What I can do is just completely eradicate the timer. I can do that. My spit's almost dried. All right, let's go to a little bit of a lighter yellow green here. Just working a little bit lighter. Some of these strokes get a little stronger, come up over the horizon, over into the sky. I'm just using the tip.
Yeah, that's why it's important to do work from back to front or background to foreground. So you can do things like that. That sky peep through.
Somebody would move that little tent so I could see what I'm drawing here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to really take this and get highly detailed with it, you would probably want to use a pastel pencil for the wispy ends here. You can still get it with the pastel as long as you're using the end, but sometimes you get a little fat mark on there, and
Got to keep rolling around, don't you? Looking for edges. All right, looks like Terry has made it into the program for the last few minutes. So, Terry, hopefully you'll join the image that you see that Matt has ended up with. It's looking good.
Well, thanks. I'm really feeling the crunch right now because I'm not totally happy with the sky. Not totally happy with the lighthouse.
I know you mentioned you wanted to go back to it, maybe.
Yeah, there's no going back. There's no going back now. That is not going to happen at this point. All right, let's go a little bit lighter.
He's crossed the Rubicon, folks. There's no going back. All right, that's what I was waiting for.
This is where we're going to start thinking about where the light is coming from.
That's right.
Oh, the light is...
So up to this point, Matt's been able to use those darker greens just about everywhere in the shape. But now he's capturing light. He's got to be careful.
But I'm going to go even lighter. And this area down here just needs to be completely darker. Right, let's go here. There's a lot of light right here. Some of these marks be really loose. Get a little bit more of a feeling of rhythm in there. Adding some more darks in between. And we're going to go, let's pretend like there's not a timer. Need a little bit of, just from what I see on these other guys, there needs to be a little bit of shadow. Going back up the dune a little bit. And let's go dark up here too. Areas. This is a dark brown. It's not a black. May definitely look like a black. Not
Yeah,
a black.
it does on the feed. But it's dark brown. So it's still no black.
And, you know, I really would like to have a bit of burnt sienna in there.
Just breaks up all the green a little bit.
Yeah, there is a little bit of
Homogeny.
orange in there. You can,
Yeah, you can, I
see
can
it.
definitely see it.
And I haven't done my brightest green yet, and I also want to add a little bit of yellow ochre in some areas too, mainly at the tips of these little grassy areas, but a little bit of burnt sienna in there. Burnt sienna always works really well with trees and grasses and bushes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually probably a little bit more orange than a true sienna.
Sketch Shiniver says it looks fantastic, Matt.
Oh, well, thank you. You're so kind. I really have felt rushed on this one.
Yeah, it's been a breakneck speed over there. I've been watching you.
This one has been a challenge to get done in the time limit. As you can see, the timer is done.
Mm-hmm. I didn't mention that. We're living on Tulsa time now.
All right. I got more grains to add here. Might as well add them.
Yeah, go ahead and put those in.
This is
Realize your vision.
This is a little bit more of a truer yellow green. Again, just adding a little bit more variety, a little bit more of a pop of color, mainly in the middle part of the stalks. By the way, if you guys like pastel landscapes and you like the 1 hour long drawing exercises that I've been releasing, I've got a new one for you coming out on Friday. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. This one will be with pastels and it's a boat on the water. That one is a quick sketch too, but not 45 minutes. All right, I am not finished. I know the timer is done. I really like yellow-green here. Some of these pieces up here at the top that are really just catching pieces of the light.
Well, you know, this is our foreground, so you want to have a lot of contrast in your foreground. And,
that is where the
does it now.
contrast is the strongest in the foreground. Let's take a different look there. There you go. You
Yeah,
can see
man, I think that looks good.
a little bit more,
Nice.
a little bit more of a distance, a little more distance there. You can kind of see. It's,
I like this view.
bit of variety. Yeah, me too. And let's get the thumbs up out of there.
We don't need to see that.
We all know the time's up. Okay. We all know it. Don't have to rub it in my face. All right. I'll switch over here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that cream color. And these are going to be just a few more wispy little pieces.
Yeah, the yellow you put in and the cream kind of marries it all together. So now we've got those colors in the foreground, middle ground, and background.
It's a party.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's invited. Well,
Party at the dunes.
Most of you are
Everybody's
invited. Beach party. All right. I'm going to say this one's done, even though I'm not incredibly excited about it.
Well, we'll let it marinate a little bit, and then when we look at it again in the 11th show of the season, we can talk about it and see how you feel about it.
We'll let it marinate. I'm okay, happy with it, but I just wish I had more time. Honestly, what I wish I would have done is worked a little bit smaller. That would have saved me a little bit more time.
Were you afraid to work too small because of the small details?
Yes. Yeah, I felt like 6x8 was a good size. Of course, 6x8 is proportional to the reference. Whenever you're working from a reference, you typically want to make sure that your drawing paper is proportional to the reference.
Or you can't use the edge of your picture plane to measure from.
Yes. So you can see if we compare the reference with the actual drawing, I made my lighthouse taller for some reason, but still didn't fit it in the picture plane correctly. But I've added a little bit more color, which typically I like to do. Add a little bit more color. Yeah. I would like to have put in some more yellows and yellow greens down here in the bottom, but this works okay. We could put more details on the it's 45 minutes. So there's some more stuff that could be done here, but I got a little bit of red in the sky somehow. That was probably that was definitely.
While you were working on that edge.
Definitely from the lighthouse. We'll just fix this real quick.
Well, Terry says, I like it. You'll like it more in a couple of days.
Yeah, I don't want to give you the wrong impression.
Brian Nebula says it looks awesome.
I'm happy with this for 45 minutes. But
Nancy says very nice.
All right, well, thank you guys.
And Linus the Burb says that would have taken me 4 days.
Oh,
so
come on.
You keep going, and it'll take less and less time the more and more you draw. Become more efficient.
Yeah. The more you work on your own drawings and paintings, the faster you're going to get. And pastels, when you let yourself,
these exercises help with that too, don't
they?
They
do. They definitely do. And pastels, especially, if you just focus on shapes of color and value, like you should be focusing on anyway, it really makes things go a lot faster. Although there is one last thing here.
He started that timer over. We've got 41 minutes to go.
At me, there's a little bit of light coming in that on the wall. All right.
There's a little girl in that window of the light. No, there's not.
Please, if you see any small children or anything in this piece that that you think you're seeing, seek professional help. Yeah. Go see somebody about that. Okay, all right. And this one's done. Next week, Ashley will be doing the drawing. So let's go ahead and switch back out over here. Oh gosh, you know, I was getting ready to say I pushed all the right buttons that time. That's the thought that was going through my head.
Had 1 minute to go,
and all I had to do was push the button on the left, and I pushed the button on the right.
Yeah, 50-50.
Anyway, it wouldn't be a live show if this kind of stuff didn't happen. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. I see all your wonderful comments, guys. Thank you so much for all those comments. We really appreciate it. Ashley, you have anything else for the folks? before next week? You have any idea what you're going to be doing?
I do
Okay.
actually. I told Matt I had a photo shoot today with myself at my house. I wasn't in the picture. I was taking pictures, and so yeah, I have something picked out, and I took a bunch of pictures. They're all raw and unedited, so I'm going to be looking at those over the next few days, probably doing some cropping and making a decision about or changing my mind completely. But as for now, I'm ahead of the game, and I actually know what I'm going to be doing 1 week from today, I think.
That's great, but he didn't tell us anything there. He said that he's made his decision and he's taken some photographs and all that, but he didn't tell us what it is.
I'm not.
Was that on purpose? I know what you're doing, but
I'm not sure what medium I'm going to use, so I'll have to get with you in a few days so that you can let everybody know and they can be ready, be prepared.
That's really what I was going for, was the medium. But
I had thought about, it's going to be in color, and so I've got some options. I've thought about using markers. And I had considered even using pastels or oil pastels. So I might do a little bit of experimenting in the next couple of days with both marker and oil pastel. Mm-hmm. And maybe colored pencil, and then make a decision.
That sounds interesting. Marker and oil pastel.
Not together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not together.
But you could do that.
You could, yeah. You could
put down a marker.
You could always
painting.
do that.
Yeah.
You could sort of tone areas of your paper with the marker.
Yeah, I've never done that, but
all right,
it would work.
It's on the table.
It would work.
Yeah, maybe we'll use markers and pastel.
All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. Again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the membership program, get on the newsletter list. You got stuff to do. Now, if you are joining us for the live lesson, you know what's next for you. You'll join us in
grab a quick snack.
24 minutes.
We're almost ready to start.
Over at thevirtualinstructor.com. As I totally shift gears and draw leaves on a tree.
Tiny
for the next
leaves
hour.
with pencil.
Tiny leaves, like teeny leaves. I'm really pumped about that. I really am. That did not sound like I was really excited about that, but I am. I'm excited. All right, I'm going to end this now. Guys, thanks again. Good night, everybody.